In today's video, we're going to be thinking about where your time goes and how your energy levels are. Are you maximizing the time that you're given each and every single day? And are you managing your energy well? Where is your energy being poured into? Is it useful in terms of those spaces where you're pouring your energy into? Is it aligned to your values? Is it aligned to your goals? Is it aligned to who you want to become in the year 2026? I truly love watching people, and now that we have social media, we have the best platform to actually watch people become. And for me, my current obsession is currently TikTok creators in Botswana. Seeing them evolve and become week in, week out with their content truly gives me life. And in thinking about where your time and energy goes, I love creators who are deliberate about which events they attend. They're deliberate about the conversations that they're having on their platforms, because you can actually see the alignment in terms of what they want for their brand, what they want for their brand voice, and what kind of thought leadership they're trying to develop and, create in the minds of the community that they're building on the different platforms that they exist in. Truly, that's my opening thought. Hi there, and welcome to my YouTube channel. The name is Gorata.Selaledi. I'm so excited to be here today on a beautiful Monday evening. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are starting a new coaching program, and if you are new here, welcome. Please do smash that subscription button. I am going to be putting out one new coaching program every single month, and today we are starting a program titled Weekly Success Systems. And what I've done, if you are following me if you've subscribed, having had found me from TikTok, is that I took all the programs that I'm going to be putting out this year, and I've put them in such a way that I speak to them every single week on my TikTok. So we've already done the series on my TikTok where we've talked about weekly success systems. And for this program, the hope is then for you to sit down and do the work in terms of the activity that needs to be done to figure out how to come up with a system for yourself, because before you know it, the year will be over. Weeks come, weeks go. We're currently on week 6. Yeah, if I do my math right, week 6 of 2026. And truly the key theme or the key thought today is that your week decides your year. So how you spend your weeks will decide how your life will look like at the end of the year. And truly, I'll take a little vulnerability moment to say that I'm still adjusting to going back to work and then having to manage still creating for my YouTube, creating for my TikTok, and I have to consistently go back to my why in terms of why am I creating my coaching programs, why am I creating on TikTok, what is the ultimate goal? And that is what always brings me back, and that is what always brings my energy back to the levels that I need them to be, especially when I'm recording my Monday videos. So hi and welcome. The name is Gorata.Selaledi. I am your personal change strategist from now on until kingdom come. So welcome to the program. This program is titled From Weekly Success Systems. I almost said from vision to results. That was the previous program. So the key outcome for our program is to build awareness of how your time, actually for today's session, to build awareness of how time and energy are currently spent so better habits can compound, right? So today we are going to be doing a time and energy audit. Time and energy audit, right? I was thinking about how February for me feels quite booked and busy, but when I count on my fingers, literally they don't go past 5 in terms of the activities that I'm doing. But if I was to share all of them all at the same time, you'd think this girl is so busy, right? But ultimately, I was having a conversation with someone talking about my partnership plan for Story Age this year, to say that I am partnering with organizations that are aligned to my vision, which is to help people think, feel, and live on purpose. And truly, that the goal for me this year is to create awareness in terms of emotional intelligence, create awareness in terms of building structure, breaking uncertainty, breaking anxiety, breaking fear in terms of getting outcomes in your life, and ultimately living a life story that you have written, right? So you'll see me, I think. I was actually thinking about it, I was like, Rata, like you're just gonna be everywhere. So by the time this year ends, you will probably have seen my face somewhere, right? And the idea is to create awareness, to build awareness, and help people get to a place where they can think, they can feel, and they can live on purpose. Because why we gatekeeping? There's no need to, right? So let's start the session, right? And I think before we start, I really want for you to slow down, take a deep breath, three wholesome deep breaths. Let's do that together before we jump in, right? So first deep breath in, let's go. Right. So I believe that I've set the foundation for today's session, but really the framing for the month of February, 3 things. This month we're not chasing motivation, and I think even as we go through the week sessions, you'll see why I say that. We are installing weekly success systems, right? And systems that create results when motivation is low, right? A system that you can depend on, just like the operating system on your phone. You don't worry if it's gonna work or not unless it's bugging, right? But the key thing then, even for you then, is to then say, do you have a system in place? If I was to ask you what you do on Monday, what you do on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, what would you say, right? So before we add anything to your life, we need to see what's already there. That's the key thought that I'd want for us to take into the next session, where we are thinking about our time and doing the time audit, right? So before we add, we need to see what's already there. So let's do that, shall we? Right? So for this section of the video, we are going to be reframing time and just doing a little mindset shift activity so that we look at time differently, right? Because you'd find that a lot of us, or most people, view time as the problem, to say there's not enough time to do anything, right? There's no time, Gorata. We're breaking that mindset today, right? Because time isn't the problem. Your attention and your energy are. Where is your attention going? Where is your energy going in the 24 hours that you are given, right? So you'd find that being busy often masks misalignment, right? And productivity without intention leads to burnout. So you're busy, but everything you're doing is not aligned to what you want to accomplish this year, who you're becoming, and who you ultimately want to, operate as in the new year, right? So the key thing to think about today is to then say, if time was the issue, everyone with 24 hours would get the same results. Your calendar reveals your values, not your goals. So the key question I want to give to you for our reflection for this point of the video is to ask yourself, does my week reflect the life I say I want? Does my week reflect the life that I say I want? Right? And if the answer is no, this next part of the video will be very important for you, so keep watching, right? So for this part of the video, we're going to do a time audit, right? A time audit, and I'm going to guide you through this exercise, and I'd want for you to really be practical about it and answer it as objectively as you can, right? Because you know how you're spending your time, you know how you're directing your attention and your energy over a 24-hour period, right? So I want you to think about the past 7 days, right? So it's Monday today. Think about between now and last Monday. And I'd want for you to answer the next 3 questions. So you can write the question, leave a space on your blank page, or you can have a question on each page, however you want to do it, right? So question number 1, what did I spend the most time on? What did I spend the most time on? And personally, most time spent with my son, and then content. Yeah, pretty much. And then work, I guess. No, my son, and then work. Well, work and then my son, given the fact that I'm at work from 8 until 3. So work, my son, content, me thinking out loud here. But I am going to do the reflection for myself as well. So what did I spend the most time on? What took longer than expected? What took longer than expected? And I'd want for you to think about this from a perspective of your personal goals, right? Obviously, like I shared, I spend most time at work, but then once I get home, how am I maximizing the time that I have? When I'm at home over the weekend, how am I maximizing the time that I have, right? So the last question I'd want for you to reflect on is, what felt urgent but didn't move me forward? What felt urgent but didn't move me forward? And this means moving forward and moving closer to the ultimate vision that you have for your life for the year 2026 and the next decade. And if you're new here, please do check out my coaching program, Envisioning the Next Decade, to do the exercises in the workbook that are there. I'm not sure if I completed the program the year I did it in terms of the videos, but the workbook is complete and you can do the exercises for yourself, right? So in thinking about our time, I'd want for us to break down our time into 3 buckets, right? So the first bucket is intentional time. So planned and purposeful time when you're thinking about these 3 questions. And number 2, neutral time. So that's maintenance, chores, admin, right? And then number 3, leaky time, scrolling, overcommitting, distractions. So think about the past 7 days. And I think if you were to break down your time and classify the things that you've done in the past 7 days, put them in the buckets to then say what counts as, what did I plan? What did I do? What was purposeful? And then in terms of the chores and admin that you had to do in your life, what are those things? And then in thinking about it as well, from those buckets, the same questions would apply. What did I spend the most time on? What took longer than expected? What felt urgent but didn't move me forward, right? So in thinking about leaky time, right? Leaky time isn't bad, right? It's just unmanaged time. So I think it's thinking about it from this perspective to then say, that's your TikTok, that's your Netflix, that's your YouTube. So how much time you spend on the leaky time isn't terrible, isn't bad. It's only bad now when you're not managing your energy, you're not managing your attention in terms of how much screen time you pour out into these applications, right? So for example, in this case, it's to then say, for my leaky time last week, I spent too much time on TikTok, if we're to take an example. So what am I going to do differently in the coming week and in the remaining weeks of the year? So what we're doing here is we're not judging, right? We're not judging, but we're gathering data. We're building a database about how you lived out your time in the past week. And you are the only person who can complete this exercise. I can't do it for you. No one can, because you are living out your lived experience with your time, right? So let's look at, I think for the next session, we're going to think about the cost of that time, your energy, right? So we're going to be moving on to the energy audit, and this video is in 2 parts, so you can pause this video. You can pause the video, do the time audit. I'm also personally going to do the exercise for myself to audit the last week. I didn't lay my edges, but all is well. But yeah, do an energy audit for yourself in terms of time audit. I'm actually speaking, looking at my notes, and hence the slip up. So do the time audit, pause the video, and then come back and let's do the energy audit, right? So in this area, really the key thing is to really think about your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions, and ultimately the actions that you could have taken and the actions that you would have taken, right? So the key thought or the key premise for this energy audit would be your emotions in the bigger sense, because what we are understanding is your emotions influence the decisions you take, right? And ultimately the actions you take. But at the core of emotional intelligence and thinking energy, the key thing is to remember that your thoughts create things, right? Everything. Your thoughts create things. So let's think about it. Let's think about how and where your energy has been going, right? So in thinking about energy, your energy will determine your consistency. And this is literal, I think, in the sense that you'd find that some activities drain us emotionally and some activities will drain us physically. So in thinking about how you spent your time in the past week, you look at your buckets and then think about it really to then say, which of these activities energized me and which of these activities drained me, high level, right? But I'm going to give you these 3 questions for you to think about, right? And then I'll give you categories in terms of how to categorize your activities according to energy. So the first question is, what activities energized me? What activities energized me? Number 2, what consistently drained me? Consistently being the keyword. Who or what depleted my emotional energy? It's important for you to be able to answer that question. Because once you now sit down to decide what your week looks like, you will be able to then decide to remove those things that drain you or move them to another time that could be conveniently after you've accomplished your goals for the week, like Sunday or Saturday evening, lazy hours when you're done for the week kind of thing. So I'd want for us to categorize our activities from the time audit in 3 parts, right? So energizing activities, neutral activities, and draining activities. And the key thought in thinking about energy in this case is to reduce the load, reduce the thing that causes the highest mental load, that are draining, right? And increasing the things that charge you up, that energize you. Probably even if you do it once a day, it doesn't have to be too many times a day, right? Because you don't burn out from doing too much. The key thought, something to think about right now, you burn out from doing too much of what drains you. So I'd want for you to pause and take time to answer the questions. I was thinking about it as well. And I think in terms of the things that drain my energy, I know them. So I don't actively provoke those things to happen. But when they do, I feel extra drained. So pause the video and do a bit of reflection. And we're going to do a bit of thinking around patterns and truths, right, in your life, the patterns that exist and what is true to you in the season of your life before you start setting systems in the coming week, right? So what we're doing is really turning that awareness that we've built from the time audit and the energy audit into insight. Remember, we're building data, right? So 3 questions for us to establish patterns, right? What surprised me? right? In terms of the reflection you've done for yourself. Maybe you've discovered that, I spend 23 hours on social media in a day. Is that even possible? In a week, 23 hours. That time could have been spent on a short course. That time could have been spent on you learning an instrument. That time could have been spent on you writing that book that you've always wanted to write, right? So the reframe. But what surprised you from doing the exercises? What is true to you? What pattern did you pick, right? And that's the second question. What do you repeat every week? What do you keep repeating every week, right? From all lenses, energy, neutral, and the things that drain you, right? So from the things that energize you, that drain you, the neutral things, and as well as from the time audit in terms of intentional time, neutral time, and leaky time, right? So what do you keep repeating every week? And then lastly, what are you tolerating that is costing you energy? What are you tolerating that is costing you energy? The biggest thing to think about as we almost come to the close of today's program is thinking about how your habits are responding to your environment and not your willpower. And if you go back to my TikTok videos, you'll see that I speak about how a lot of people premise achieving their goals on willpower and not setting specific systems on how they're going to be accomplishing their goals, right? So I'd want for you to take a moment to just be honest with yourself. Are you overcommitted? Are you people pleasing in terms of the things that take up your days? Number 3, is there avoidance that's disguised as rest? Is there avoidance that's disguised as rest, in quotes, right? So I'd want for you to take a moment to build a bit of honesty with yourself. We're building data, we're not judging, right? Build a bit of data before we move on to week 2, where we are going to be thinking about the specific weekly system, or what you have in your day-to-day, each day that makes up the week, right? Specifically. So I'd want for us to do for the closing part of today's video is to then decide, right? It's important to decide for us to change our actions, right? So what one energy drain are you going to reduce from your weeks, right? And number 2, what one energy source are you going to protect? This is one of mine. And then what one boundary are you going to practice this week? Maybe it's saying no more to weekend commitments because you're not doing enough for yourself but too much for everyone else. Maybe it's booking an appointment with yourself so that when someone else asks you, what are you doing this weekend? And say, I have a prior engagement. And that's okay. You don't need to over-explain and overshare. And overshare in terms of what you're spending your time on, right? So the key thing to think about in the last part of the video is then what are you going to do practically in terms of how you spend your time. So reducing late night scrolling if your screen time is high, protecting your morning quiet time for you to be able to actually focus during your day. And then also saying no to unnecessary commitments. Maybe you're a people pleaser and you are just saying yes to everyone, right? So the key thing to think about today when we complete this video for your time and energy audit is to then say we don't overhaul our lives. We make small weekly adjustments that compound. So over the next 2 weeks, we are going to be really thinking about how we're living our weeks, week by week. And the key thing is to then change how we are showing up every week in our lives, right? And for us to be able to establish strong anchors for each week, right? So for week 1, given that it's week 1 for the program, and as much as we're on week 2 of February, right? I'd want for you to ask yourself this question every day. how is my energy right now? Is it high? Is it just neutral? Or is it low? How is my energy right now? And what do I need more or less of today in terms of how you're spending your time, right? And an affirmation I'd want for you to repeat to yourself is to then say, I am learning to steward my time and energy with intention. I am learning to steward my time and energy with intention. And the key thing then here is to then realize that obviously we don't all have it figured out, but as we come to this point where we've done the audit, we know where we're failing in terms of where we're putting our energy, where we're putting our attention. We need to now take that data and make informed decision. The learning here comes with change, right? So it's important just to be able to see a noticeable change when we meet here back again in week 2, where we are going to be thinking about our weekly goal architecture. All right. So the key thing as we close, right, to then say, us having had built awareness from our audit is going to help us make better choices. Better choices are going to help build consistency, and with consistency we're going to be able to see results, right? And this is how habits compound, not through pressure but through clarity, right? Otherwise, thank you so much for tuning into this video. We've come to the end of the video, and just to invite you to sign up for my email list. I will be working on a newsletter that I'm going to be putting out, and then also download the free printable for this program, which I will try put out this at the same time as I put out this video. If I don't, probably tomorrow before the end of the day. And also just checking out the previous videos that I've done, from vision to results, envisioning the next decade, and I can't remember the other one. But otherwise, thank you so much for tuning into this video. I pray for God's favor to locate you and for His grace to sustain you as you live out this new week. See you next week, Monday. Thank you for tuning in.